right, it shows your roles on the.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm only a maybe on
You're a maybe. Okay. So I need to make a little list. Actually, Carl, you have, I think, the ability to do this. If you don't mind switching anybody that you hear about, that would be helpful.
Let's see. That I might have to go to the website for.
Okay. No worries. Well, it's not urgent, but it's just something to think about. Because right now, basically, anybody we have blindly accepted to Bridge Makers as a group could try to find us today. Thus, also us hiding inside of a pond. But that was not the primary goal of it. So, yeah, but
it's really funny as it keeps talking.
Thank you. Yeah, I wondered if this was a weird comic relief moment. Am I too hidden under the grass? Should I get a little bigger?
No.
I can see you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once we find you the first time, you're easy enough to keep track of.
Is it weird to have me in another avatar? You're so used to me.
I mean, the same voices now. Like, I mean, it's just like, it's like my mom makes a deal about how the cake looks. I mean, it's gonna taste the same. Like, it's, just, even though it's not, it's evenly. But anyway.
Oh my God.
But anyway. So, I did check the Discord, and I am listed as a newbie for some reason. Like, I think, how long do I need to stay?
Newbie is what you want.
Good.
Yeah, newbie is the default place. Yeah, unless you sign up as a helper and complete 3
Keep in mind,
months.
it's not newbie like noob, it's newbie.
Like you're a newbie to our hive and you're still learning how to vibe with us. And so you just have we get to pay extra attention and not assume you understand our culture as much. When you become a helper, then you're spending just a lot more time with the current group. And so by the time you graduate, we assume that you are able to hold and represent to some degree, hold a status of not just taking respite, taking support from us, but also like you have added something, you have contributed and given something and been a bridge maker with us. So that's why then you would get switched to a memby. It's like a liminal pond.
So escapist is a newbie now.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of a maybe.
We have no expectation of newbies or membies. So once you get to memby, you can hang out there forever, and we're fine.
I think it's a limitation of Discord too. So
how do you
hierarchical?
What's the qualification?
So you gotta be the lowest rank in order to see every channel. So everyone just gets newbie. It's not like
become a helper,
current rank,
and then finish a like a course as a helper, do a project to finish your.
I'm doing
Yeah. Helper is and you're only for and some of you have already experienced this. You only get about 3 months to be a helper, and then you're kicked out, and that's uncomfortable in a landscape where we have endless need as community leaders, and people are not used to offering their support and then being boundaried around that. That's tough and uncomfortable, I think, for a lot of people. But so far I've heard a lot of really good feedback that this is working for the people who are learning and trying it. It's also somewhat teaching some of you how to hold boundaries in your own life with how you commit to things and what you give. And then you can come back and serve for a lot longer as a helper too, potentially, if it's a good fit. And it lets you get a sample of what we're doing. It's just such a very different culture and group than you're going to find almost anywhere else in social VR. It gives you a chance to dip your toes in the water, but hopefully not drowned in it. We're going to push you off the pond in a moment to, say, go do you, and you take care of you, and you find your solid ground, and you are in and with this community, but you are not expected to do any more bridge making until you're ready to lean in again. So
on that note, should Theo be Memby, right?
Memby, yeah. Theo has completed helper 1. Yeah, thanks for asking. Cool.
That's the only other one that needed adjusted, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's just I got a notification that I didn't have permission to allow somebody who's requesting to join, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start a new instance. Okay, well, let's jump in. Says the green frog on the bottom of the pond. And we're back. We missed last week, but we're here now. And you all have done this before, so what's our first thing? I don't have to run this like it's a military ship.
Norms.
Norms. All right, why don't you introduce norms?
They're things we do.
Norms are things we do. Okay. What's next?
List them.
Okay.
We list them.
I like these short, succinct answers. This is going to be a very dry, fast group. Okay? Go ahead. What's next?
We each share one.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? I've only been to one of these, and it was like a month and a half ago. So I don't really remember, honestly.
All good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, norms are just little things that we share that we like to do in communities that make communities stronger and connect better. And, you know, we want to express what makes good norms, and not to enforce that these are like hard rules, but they're things that we all generally just lean towards because it works out for everyone.
Okay.
And there's a few we like to share at Bridge Bakers that are pretty common, and then if you've got any that you've expressed in other communities that have helped keep people together, that's also great to share as well. I don't know if there's any more to it than that, but anyone else feel free to jump.
Reflective listening.
That's one of them.
Where
just call them out.
It's about what you hear from the other person and giving it back to them so that they know that they are heard with what they share.
I like just like a friendly acknowledgement of another person's presence, instead of rather trying not to just take it for granted, but just let others know that you're acknowledging that they're there in the moment with you, and that you're glad to see them.
Yeah, I think saying hello and goodbye is a pretty common one too. Relationship to that, we want to, let you know why or let you know that we acknowledge you joining, and that if you gotta go, please let us know. People disappearing without saying a thing is confusing and hard to figure out what's going on. So we like to hope people acknowledge that they have to leave. Else we assumed it's an internet problem.
I believe we always use the term kindness for our spaces as a common norm, but something that has been occupying my my days have also been creating space and holding space, and how that looks like with others and with yourself.
We also like to use emojis. please express them if you don't feel like
Yeah,
speaking.
and sorry, I was distracted. Kid asking if he could be ungrounded, even though he has not done things I asked to be done. So if I could get a quick bullet point on what norms had been mentioned.
We're kind of just throwing them out.
Reflective
casual
listening, saying hello and
Mhm.
goodbye, and
Okay.
emoji acknowledgement.
I think RSVPs is always a good one to mention too for the event, especially with trying to get this new system I'm hearing about going, kind of keep it more controlled. And I will say, appreciate it. I saw that I've been sick pretty much all this last week. I can probably hear it in my voice still, but I saw the notice, that it was about to get canceled, then got canceled. But as soon as the next one was posted, there was 3 or 4 RSVPs for this week, like immediately. So that, got me the proper mindset that, all right, a week from now we're doing it for sure, and didn't have that uncertainty in the air,
Yeah. It's like an overflow. It was dry one week and flooded the next.
Yeah. What's up, Jay?
Yeah. Yes, and show up sober. Yes, I have not. Like it's, I think 8:30 where I am, or almost 8:30, and I decided not to have any coffee. And after this, I am going to another event. But I mean, this is a little bit late for me. But yeah, don't we want to have a clear mindset, and we don't want our ideas to be influenced for the worst by chemicals or consciousness altering substances.
Did you say you passed on the coffee?
Yeah, I decided not to have coffee this late.
Okay, yeah, this late. I'm on my second cup, but I just woke up 2 hours ago. So.
He said 8:30. I thought, that's pretty early. It's perfectly reasonable for coffee. Well, but 8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m. Yeah.
Yes, I can't drink coffee after like noon, or else I'll just not go to bed that night. Well, it's not that strong, but some days it does for some reason. Anyway,
I'm just realizing I haven't looked at the norms that we still haven't edited for our actual group. See if there's anything we're saying but not saying. Yeah, sounds like you all have thought of many of them. I think setting status to orange is another one. If you do have people who want to join, just go ahead and
forgot about that.
Meet them at the door.
I think that should be a.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that norm should be always present, no matter what. It's very. You never know what could ever happen when you have someone else join a group instance, especially like the meditation spaces. It's can be very reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about how when for any group like that or this, or especially something like meditation that's very guided and quiet, that being on green even is basically like taking on like another mantle of responsibility of being like you better be ready to mediate that entrance however needs be.
Yeah.
Which, thanks for the. I just looked up like, wait a second, hold on. Go orange here.
Clowning around.
What's next?
I'll actually put on my Bridgemaker's custom status too.
Like what next? After norms, or are there other norms we're missing?
I don't know. I'm letting You all have done this many, many times. And what can happen when the person holding the structure keeps pushing the structure is it can actually create like a passive, like almost infantilizing effect where everyone feels like their children being told where their next classroom is, or whatever. So I'm backing down to see if you want to try to hold the field. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think pain points is what comes next, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's been a month, but I mean, I was here a couple weeks ago. But yes, generally.
I'll bring up one more norm that is on the, in some form is on the Bridgemaker's About page that I think is an important one with to varying levels of different people. It's not very important to me, but Haya's got her camera up there. We are live streaming to YouTube, and that goes up as like a saved VOD. So there's a, while it is a public facing thing, we do that so that some people can come and check out the event afterwards. As I was worried, the more I talk, the more I get close to starting to cough. Ooh, yeah. But that also then comes with the idea, though, that where there is still a circle of trust here, that nobody's expected to just go out and clip you and share clips outside of this just because it is recorded. If there is something that you say afterwards, that can be reviewed, that sort of thing. But I think Haya's kind of said a lot lately that it kind of, most times, once you've kind of said it and it's out there and you can go back yourself and look at the video and kind of see how it came off, maybe doesn't feel as scary as it did in the moment of putting it out there. So just knowing that is the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Carl. That's real.
All right, we got that cough out. Now we're good. Yeah, so now I think was a good time to move on towards the pain point section, throwing them in the soggy fire here.
Soggy fire.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, Scott's got some liquid pain points.
What was that?
Your gestures are on. Your gestures are showing.
I saw blurry droplets dump on the fire. Like you sneezed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let me cool those down for you.
Nice.
I don't think we can put this fire out.
Mm-hmm.
Snow guy.
So how do we do pain points? What does that mean?
We are sharing things that have how would I explain this? Pain points would be anything that's brought up recently that's caused comfortableness or trouble, or anything that has caused blockage or connecting with other people, and we want to hear about it. Not like that we're excited for it, but we are open to having a space where we can hold space for each one of us that has something going on, where we can each take a turn and we can fully express ourselves. And then after each one of us does that, someone else will reflect back and try to give a exact neutral reflection of it to express what they had heard, not to offer advice, not to fix or solve their problems, but to re-say it back to the person, and to show that they were listening and that they heard everything that you said. So
yeah, well done. Yeah, and if we want, we can add another layer to that, which is the idea of motivational interviewing, a very basic version of it today, to learn how to embrace stuckness and what that can do for people who are suffering. And taught it to people one-on-one before, but I don't know that I've ever taught it to a group. So that's going to be an interesting experiment, much less under a pond with fish swimming around as a frog. But, we'll see how much gets lost in translation or frogation or something.
I hate to admit it, just in general, that I've been doing more chatbot conversing. But after you had mentioned that to me a bit ago, I had, you engaged in that conversation style, or asked the bot to do it kind of thing. So I have a little bit of experience there now.
Interesting. So you had the bot do motivational interviewing on you?
Yeah.
Did you feel more motivated on the other side?
Not really, but it was, the subject of the interview was a well-tread one, so it was more of a looking at it from a different angle thing than necessarily kind of eye-opening,
Mm-hmm. Just new perspectives.
Yeah, a little bit. Or more new conversational, dance rather than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
Kind of the whole investigative then either or is kind of how I interpreted it. Investigate A, B.
Okay.
Just the idea of being more the reflective side of the questioning, and then rather than just leaving that, sit, kind of going, does that, make you kind of, I don't know, maybe it was just because the way the chatbots talk to you in already, they are always kind of giving you A or B options at the end of the conversation. That might have colored my perception of how it was supposed to work.
What it is.
So.
Yeah.
The more I try to explain what I think, the less confident I am,
It's tough. I've seen people who are quote certified in it, and I've explained to them I don't think they're doing it the way it was designed, and then I show them, and then I'm like, what have I been doing this whole time? So it's a very subtle art, and I think a lot of people get really stuck in their heads about doing it right. And the way that I learned to do it was through my body first. And so I explain it from kind of that perspective. It's simple, but it's hard to hold on to because we're in such a chronic helpful / fix it culture where we do get attached on each other's behalf to what's going to happen next and how that person should be. And so the way that I explain motivational interviewing, I think in its simplest form, is it's running slightly ahead to the state of not making a change. Let's pretend Scott is like, I'm going to do something silly here, Scott, and I'm picking on you, so I apologize if that's weird. But let's pretend that you're like, hey, I keep slapping people with my tail and they complain, but I keep wearing this avatar. I can't stop. And so what I do is I run ahead a little bit and I'm like, so you can't stop wearing this avatar. It's slapping people and you can't change this outcome. So you're just going to be the person with a tail that slaps people. And so you can tell me, Scott, what does it feel like for me to just validate that this is the state it's always going to be with your fictional problem of slapping people?
I'm not entirely sure. I guess it's kind of like an "it is what it is" sort of a feeling.
You just feel accepted.
I guess it would depend on how you feel about it personally. it might be helpful to hear somebody like be accepting of it, but unless you're like accepting of it yourself,
yeah, right. So
it could
really
still be around you.
That's a perfect example of like Scott's feeling a tension of like, yeah, but do you really accept that I'm going to slap people when I'm around you? Like, there's a doubt there, right? There's a like, what do you really think? And that is a type of motion. It's a type of flow that's coming up in Scott. It's a dissonance or friction where Scott's now getting curious of going, yeah, but what's your perspective, hey, about my slapping tail as a frog? And then that's where I might ask some more questions, right? Because now you want something from me, as opposed to you just saying, "Hey, I'm doing this." I'm like, "You should stop doing this. Here's another avatar. Change it." Right? If I
Yeah.
by you wanting to know my perspective, it's pulling you off of your kind of stuck center. And now I can say, well, for me to really weigh in on that, I just want to know, does your tail have spikes on it? And you'd be like, I don't know. I'll let you fill that in. I don't know. It looks very fuzzy to me.
I don't think there's spikes.
No spikes.
I haven't
So
checked in a while.
you're not poking anybody. And then I would say, like, are there people who like tails that are, interacting? Maybe you could teach your tail to boop people. I don't know. And then now you're just starting to look at this from new perspectives. But then the next thing I would do is just say, but ultimately you might lose all your friends because your tail is going to make them go away. And that's where I hold with you. I kind of name or find out what your worst fear is with where you feel stuck. And I just hold there. I'm like, so you're probably going to be kind of lonely going forward.
I think I had a realization maybe that helps unless it's wrong, and then I want to squash that early, but I was thinking of it more in the terms of like motivational, as in like, a motivational speaker, somebody that's trying to like inspire people to act a certain way or whatever. But the realization I had that is, it's more saying like investigating the motive. Motivational as in like we're looking for the core reasoning behind an action, and saying like, is this the motive behind this something that you're like conscious of and true to, or is this something that actually your motive is not? Yeah, exactly.
It could.
Like, it's the core of the.
That is part of it, what kind of need is Scott getting met by using his tail, that way or whatever? What does his tail really need here? Maybe it needs a little handshake or something. I don't know. But what I think about motivational interviewing in its simplest form, because this can feel really blurry and abstract as we float or sit in a blurry, abstract pond. But motivational interviewing is really about me taking on your apathy, your stuckness. So I'm going to hold your stuckness, and I'm going to be a little more certain than you are that nothing can change. Even though I offer you curiosity, all the questions that I'm offering is going to become more convinced that it won't get better. But just slightly. If I do it really extremely, it's going to feel kind of like I'm just building drama or something. I don't believe in you, whatever. So I look at it like, oh, I don't have hands. I'm switching my avatars. Where are my hands? So I look at it like in its most simple form. This is a compassionate way to stop trying to get people to be around us, to be where they're not, and actually go to what they fear and just stay in that fear with them. And by me holding the fear with you, it displaces your certainty that that's the only way you are. Now you have a friend or a companion that's sitting with you in your stuckness. and believing it a little bit more than you.
Hey, so I would like to do some reflective just to make sure I understand it correctly. But I also need to say I do have another meetup I said I'd go to at 9:00, but I did want to make some contribution. So if I understand, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Which is about I think 18 minutes from now. But if I understand what you're saying, you're talking about characteristics and traits that maybe, for instance, I am not going to change, and you're asking us to maybe look at different aspects of that and see, in what ways that can be accommodated. Like for instance, my habit of ending everything I say with "Does that make sense?" That is never going to change, as far from what I understand. But you're asking maybe see what role that plays in here, or what for somebody who might object to it, understand what. Well, does all that make sense? Just as a demonstration, just.
Really, really good illustration there. I appreciate that. Yeah. So now I have hands. So what I was going to say is what I see so often in relationships, and I have done this so many times, is person A says, I hurt, I have a pain. And person B says, wow, maybe you want to not sit on the fire and then you won't burn. Person B is sitting there and going, it seems so simple how for you to solve your problem. Just, tuck your tail away, or, just mute yourself when you are sharing. There's a way that our brains kind of run to the solution. And even if we don't say it out loud, we're not staying with each other in the stuckness. And so the core integrity of motivational interviewing is I'm just going to be where you're at with you and sit there with the possibility it's never going to get better, and just hold that. I'm holding that for you. And that displaces you. So you have to start looking for new possibilities of what other outcomes there are. Because I'm in your stuckness. I am embodying your stuckness. After I've asked my curious questions, I'm planning to arrive at a little more stuck than you are. Tell me why this isn't going to work. Tell me all the things you've tried. Tell me, okay, yeah, you're right. It's never going to change. And what that does subtly in that balance thing is the person on the other side will start to get argumentative. And they'll be like, well, it's not that black or white. Oh, it isn't? My tail doesn't slap everybody, or whatever, right? Now you've initiated the side of let me tell you the exceptions where this might not be the permanent state of me, where this, So what I would ask you, Jay, if you really wanted to change the does that make sense, is I would say, when do you not end your sentences with does that make sense? And you might say, well, never. Does that make sense? And I'd be like, okay, it's never. But then you might go away from this moment and start watching for the moments where you don't feel like you have to say that part, and going, what's different about this right now? Why did I not have to ask people if I made sense to them? And so that's the new journey. That's the new path. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's contagious.
And come to think of it, it's when I'm asking or talking about something that's less abstract or less personal, that I don't end it. When I'm not talking about my personal interpretation, I think.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And so then maybe when it comes to abstract, that's just going to be how you are, or you're going to find other paths there. But the concept here is that even when we change our perspective by 1 degree, there's 360 degrees that can look at any one thing, right? People say there's always 2 sides to an argument, and I'm like, what a small life we live, Technically, there are 360 degrees, and that's on a 2-dimensional plane to an argument. There is infinite perspectives to an argument. But we want to force it into the binary because we know that binaries make us go faster. And when we feel really uncomfortable or stuck, we try to get to that resolution as fast as we can. The opposite of holding space for ourselves or being held. So, this was discovered in, I believe, something like 1990s or something. It was addictions research. It was working with people who were feeling chronically attached to some substance that was harming them. And lo and behold, like, people were finally finding a path out of their addictions when people stopped trying to tell them how to get out of their addictions and really just started embracing you're not going to get better. And so there's a paradox in that. And for people who are professionally trained in this stuff, they get really uncomfortable with this idea of an intervention because they really want to be like, but they have to get better. I'm a failure if they don't give it. And it's like, no, or not. Like,
yeah, it's. I think I've got a pretty decent grasp now too, because I'd say that this is one of those things where the more I learn about it, the more I'm like, oh no, yes, that I know, I do that. I know what that is. And to some degree, it's like there's times like with my kids or people at work, like I'm doing it almost manipulatively to where, like, when you tell somebody to do something, people don't like to be told what to do. Mm-hmm. But if you ask the questions that kind of get them to come to the right conclusion, they're much more likely to be confident in that and stick to it, whatever it may be. So, I mean, in something like, tonight where we're just like reflecting, we don't know that wider context. You're not necessarily trying to get somebody to come to the, fix that you already know in your head. You're just kind of, we're helping each other explore the idea or the pain point. Like, just kind of, have you thought about it this way? Or I hear you say that, but what does this mean? Kind of questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Curiosity is one of the most understated healing, like, behavior / feelings that we can give each other. It is we all need more curiosity, and especially in a place like this, we don't always have the support to. Who wants to go grab
right back?
Okay, thanks, Carl. So my question for you all would be, like, how do you feel about this? Does this seem really blurry and opaque? Is this something you're interested in trying? Does it sound way too complicated, uncomfortable? And what I'm doing right now is I'm giving you pathways to respond that don't force you to, like, compose an essay on how you feel about it. I'm giving you easy options, and then you might have other perspectives. But by giving you at least a few, hello, welcome, Vibe Flux.
Hello.
Hello. Nice
Hello.
Hello.
We're talking about motivational interviewing right now. I don't know if you've heard about that before, but it's basically a way to support each other.
Motivational interviewing? No.
Yeah.
I've never heard about this before.
Yeah. So I'm getting reflections, how this is landing for people. So you said pretty cool. Can you say any more about that, Fedor?
Well, yeah, it's like it's sort of a surprising twist on the best way to help someone isn't to give them advice and you should do this, you should do that, but to just straight up just be in the uncomfortable emotion, to be present with them, to be on the exact same level as them, and to have that connection where they're explaining their problems and you're just nodding and going, okay, yeah, I accept and I acknowledge all of what you just said.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of really connects and it works and it helps people feel better in a way that telling them, oh, you should try X, Y, and Z to solve your problem. No, it's just meet them where they're at.
Meet them where they're at.
It just works.
And then go a little further than they are. So the neutral acceptance of it is not necessarily motivational interviewing. Actually being a little more distressed than them can also really work. So just being like, wow, you're going to be alone because your tail has slapped everybody, you know, like, oh. And Scott's like,
Hypothetical tail
why?
scenario.
Yes, this was an example that I made up and picked on Scott to say, you know, Scott, you know, in my example, Scott came to me and said, my tail slaps everybody and they're getting mad. And I'm just like, instead of trying to tell Scott how to fix his tail I'm just going to really embrace that and feel the despair with him and a little more for him. I'm going to feel the worst case scenario. I'm going to help him articulate what he's afraid of. Then I'm going to sit there with him. And what that does is it displaces his ambivalence. So ambivalence is, I used to think it was the same thing as apathy, but it's not. Ambivalence is the best metaphor I've heard described, which was at a training on motivational interviewing, is that it's two currents, two states that are counteracting each other perfectly. So on the surface, if we think of a body of water, you can have a very still surface. And actually underneath, there's a very hot current and a very cold current, and they're just like perfectly balanced. And so they're moving different directions. There's a lot of energy happening under there, but you can't see it on the top. And it looks like a shrug. So what you do is you take on the heat, you take on the dissonance. And it's a little bit more than holding space. It's holding pain just temporarily to see if I hold your pain for you, does that make you squirm? Because it is really uncomfortable when somebody's just like, wow, so it's all fucked, huh? You know, like we don't want to hear that. We don't want our friends to be like, wow, you're probably going to have to give up here. Like, it's just, this is how it's always going to be with your tail, Scott. When I do that, when I radically accept it and kind of run to the outcome even further than you're going to feel a sense of panic, a little bit of like, wait, don't believe me this far. I'm not that hopeless, you know, like I'll have a few friends who, you know, so like that backpedaling away from the stuckness is the flow. It is how it shifts inside of people. Because now maybe they're irritated with me, but they're going to go prove me wrong, you know, like they're going to show me how it does get better. And so to your point, Carl, it can feel manipulative, right? That word is an important word. I don't want to minimize it. Manipulation can feel really ick and gross and twisted. And one of my favorite definitions of manipulation is that it's using the wrong tool to get a need met, right? So this is a tool. And I've seen people do this with their friends and they'll just be like, hey, I've been hearing about this thing called motivational interviewing. Can I try it with you? You can ask people for permission. You can say, I want to listen to this differently. Can I try this thing? But it still is a way, especially in these places where we think we see everybody's body language. So I'm looking at Scapist and I'm like, oh, you look so attentive, Scapist, with how your avatar body is listening and just kind of pointed at me. And so I could believe all these things about how you're really feeling right now. And you could be on desktop, folding your arms, tapping your foot, really annoyed at all of this and looking away and thinking, what have I gotten myself into? A bridgemakers group that's drowning under a pond, you know, and this is too much. Like, I can misread a lot about you because my body is trained to mirror your body, and that is not your actual body. And so we do a lot of fixing in these places because we want to feel better when we hear about conflict in each other, especially when we're in a power up position as leaders. We want to solve. And we actually can do a lot of harm and make people feel like deflated and like they're even more stuck. And I'm like, I know what you can do, and I have given you the solution. And if you only follow my advice, it will get better. Okay, I'm going to brush my hands off and go fix the next thing. And you're sitting there in a puddle going, I didn't even know it was this big of a problem. And I don't feel like anything now. I feel so small and lost. So the point of it is to give people back their agency. And I don't think that is inherently harmful in itself. Yeah. Other reflections before we actually try to apply it if you feel like it. And if you don't, we can just do reflections without any flip into motivational interviewing. Yeah, Theo.
I see a hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was amazing. I feel like everything about it feels so coherent, and it feels like something that I've realized is exactly how we have to be, especially what you put it with how our language becomes binary and so many layers of it. It was mesmerizing to understand that sometimes what we need is to connect each other from the presence of what we really like hold together as well. And as well as there's just this, it's immense teaching that I'm hearing from all of this. Like it has so many, like there's so much to keep up with as well. Like I just feel immensely like ready to make mistakes and learn this.
Lovely. Yeah. People, it's an atypical response I'm hearing from you. A lot of people, when they hear about this, it just seems so blurry and confusing, and people are scared to try it and whatever. And I would say, as Carl just recognized, you're all already doing this. You've just never realized you're using this as a tool with each other. It will come out as a natural behavior with some people in our lives, including people that we've seen just get stuck repeatedly, and we've just given up on trying to make it better. So we're like, okay, I'll give you 5 minutes of compassion and then I'll just move on. But when you see that turn into a habit, they want those 5 minutes over and over again. You're going to start to clue into those 5 minutes matter. They're doing something, right? Even if I never see the solution, they're doing something. So this is just a more conscious way to recognize that like, what is it? Okay. See you, Jay. It was good to see you. What does it feel?
I'll be back next week or Sunday. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. What does it feel like
Jay.
what does it feel like in your belly when you see somebody in pain and you know you shouldn't give them advice? Your spidey senses are saying, this is not going to go well. They're not going to be like, oh my God, thank you for figuring my problems out. They're going to be like, okay, yeah, thanks, bye. Right? And yet you do it anyways, right? I do this sometimes and I'm like, I knew I should not have given advice there. Nobody was asking for my advice. But there's that compulsion to step in and say, I see the dots and I see how they connect and I know how to solve this for you. And this is a tool to use instead of that. To say,
welcome, Valerid. I didn't see the notifications when I popped in.
Yay.
Oh, hello.
Valerid.
Nice timing. Somebody else had to pop out, so there's a nice little spot for you.
Hello. Oh, do I get a head pat? Thank you.
Yeah, I think there was a bug, or we would have came and
Good
said
job.
hello. Here we are.
Good job. Good job on what? Yeah. What did I do a good job
I
on?
have been eating an ice cream cone.
What you said, yes. Yeah.
Oh, which part?
The last one.
Yeah, we try to fix each other. It's really chronic in here. It's kind of comical, actually. If you ever just want to go to a public instance and be on mute and listen, it's full of people that are trying to bond by fixing each other. And they don't know anything about each other. It's like whack-a-mole self-help Instagram or something. It's just...
It's even become a meme in and of itself. Like somebody sees like a quirky, attractive, whatever, you know, which way that goes, but the phrase will be like, I'll fix her, or she can fix me, or, you know, he can, they'll fix me, however, whatever gender, but.
Yeah. So this is basically, it's twofold, right? Some of you don't identify as leaders or have people following you right now or whatever. And so this might be like, well, I'm not a leader, so I'm telling you, in VR, this is a really great survival tool to always have attached to you, because it's going to be more tempting in this space than anywhere else to try to change people. And then secondly, if you ever do identify as a leader or you recognize that you do influence people, this is a very core fundamental way to unhook your fix-it gear and say, especially when I'm in a power-up position, and when I give you advice, I can actually push you further down into your ambivalence, into your stuckness, than if we were equal. I can do more damage in a power-up position. And so leaders are more vulnerable to try to do advice giving because they're a leader and people come to them constantly. Problem. Which ones do I actually solve and which ones do I sit there and be like, yeah, that's not going to change. That's really painful. And
I think maybe a last point in my clarity of kind of, I had the thought pretty crystal clear and my kid just burst up out of the basement. Half made me forget it. But the idea of, it was like the whole kind of towards the manipulative level. And like you're saying, when it's, leaders doing it, you might, fall into that trap of kind of just trying to lead somebody towards the answer you want them to find with, just by questioning. But if, to kind of avoid that or, recognize and keep it in motivational interviewing, kind of asking the questions, but being completely open and maybe even, hopeful or eager that they don't come to the conclusion that you did, like they go a different direction with it from the whatever question you proposed, the hope.
There is a fear that I'm going to say that to Scott and Scott's going to be like, I'm going to go live the life of a monk now. I will never connect with people again because I'm going to lose all my friends anyways. Right? He could go there in our mock example of that I've made up a problem that Scott's avatar has with his tail slapping people when they're around. So like that could happen. But ultimately, it's a very subtle form of radical acceptance with a kind of you still are worthy of being held space for, even if you never solve what you are telling me about. Like, we all need to hear that. If I don't fix this, if this never goes away, are you going to reject me? And
maybe the Buddha too. He was very embracing of friendships. He was very on point in friendships.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I heard some of that. You cut out a little bit, but I'm hearing that you had a relationship where somebody was really good at hearing you. Is that right?
Yeah, the Buddha.
The Buddha was okay.
The
well,
Buddha is
good.
very. He is very.
Good job, Buddha.
He is very embracing of all friendships.
Yeah.
His point.
Well, and I guess in the Buddha apparently said, pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. Right? I was very irritated by that statement for many years. And when I stopped running away from it, because it felt a little victim blamey to me, being like, oh, I have pain, but I guess I'll choose suffering on top of that. Okay, sounds good, escapist, right? Like it just felt terrible, and it felt like belittling of suffering is agony. Suffering is never like, yeah, I'm going to opt into that option. Let's see how it goes, right? And yet what I realized over time is that the difference between pain that is growth and pain that is suffering is consciousness. And I'm giving a pregnant pause there to see if that sinks in for any of you. Pain that is suffering and pain that is growth is consciousness. So one of the most radical ways I applied this is my gallbladder. I laugh, but it's actually a trauma laugh because it was a really horrible situation. My gallbladder almost burst inside of me. It went septic. It was very dangerous. I almost died. And it took 6 months for them to figure out what was going on. And so I was having these bouts where it was blocked and I was going into sepsis and then it would clear and whatever. And it was the most pain I've been in, and I've been in a lot of pain in different ways, but it was stunning. It was a level of pain that was like about 5 over the 10 scale. Like I had no ability to even stand up. I was in so much. And so I was chanting that to some degree during that time of like, suffering is a choice. And so how do I bring consciousness to this pain? And so I thought about the pain like fire. This is fire in my body. And this fire is going to tell me all the places that haven't healed inside of me, where I have emotional charge around something. And if normally I can distract myself, I can numb myself, I can focus on other things, I can be the hero and fix things. Oh, bye. But this pain, I can't do any of that with. I just have to be in it. It is fully encapsulating and taking over my life for days at a time. And I found for myself, I found a whole other reality in that pain that I never knew existed. And instead of being angry at the world or the medicine or whatever that it wasn't working, that feeling for your loved ones or yourself when you're like, you're not figuring this out. Something is very, very wrong with me, right? So I definitely had bouts of that. But ultimately, when it came down to the full out emergency and they said, okay, you got to go home. We gave you the medicine we could and we don't know what it is, and figure it out with your doctor. I responded with a smile on my face, kind of panting a little bit because I was in a lot of pain and I was in an emergency room. And I just said, oh, cool. Okay. I can't walk. So if you can figure that part out, then I'll leave. I was like, I literally cannot get out of this bed. So good luck. And that kind of acceptance and surrender while I was drenched in sweat and in excruciating pain, it kind of had a lightning bolt, I think, in the care team, because in their minds, they were thinking maybe she's trying to get medication or she's making a big deal out of having like gas in her intestines or something, right? Like they were minimizing it because they were used to vague pain that had no solutions. And when I was like, body not functional, but I'll do whatever I can to help you with your goal. I think it kind of shocked them, and they just thought, we need to do a much deeper diagnostic process because something's off about this. You're supposed to yell at us and tell us that we're betraying you and whatever. And you're just like, okay, I've done 3 rounds of this in the middle of the night. This is the 3rd. I'll do it again. Hopefully it'll go away. So they did, and they figured it out, and they came in and apologized and just were like, oh my God, you're about to die. We need to get you surgery. So this was a moment where I started to understand that I could accept excruciating pain and motivate people to change their behavior by not attaching my fear to what was happening in that moment. Just stay present. So that's a complicated story example of what that can almost like look like in reverse, but I'm trying to help you understand like this works. It's deep. It's hard. There's a lot of mistakes to be made around it because that fix it is so knee jerk inside of all of us. But ultimately coming back to most of us can't change each other anywhere close to what we feel like we can. And how do we just listen and believe each other? So with that, let's get out of the clouds or the abstract thoughts and jump into pain points. What's one thing that's aching and on your heart about growing community this week or right now? What's hurting? Who would like to go first? Try to keep your sharing within a minute or so, and then somebody will reflect you back.
I can start. I think mine's a little more substantive
Okay.
than I normally bring, maybe. I don't know. But also want to, speak on things that are, because it's not really directly between me and another party. It's more me, like leaders having conflict with each other. I'm under my mouse or something. But it's the idea of kind of seeing both sides of an argument, like seeing people who you respect both of the people and they are having a clear kind of disagreement about something, and it's more in the like how they're exchanging with each other that there's anything to kind of help and facilitate and comment on, while not feeling like they're both upset with me because I'm rationalizing the other side to a degree as well. It's being that mediator that is really truly, I feel like, I mean, not even being a mediator, not to say that I'm stepping up and handling this conflict or anything either. Like, just a big pool of co-moderators, and we've had a little bit of a shake-up with, partially because like our, just through the shutting down of a sister community kind of made a lot of people evaluate their own position and what was going on with our community, and so then that led to some new faces and other people leaving and some grievances being brought up, that sort of thing. So just kind of a shaky time, some people conflicting and trying to navigate all that.
Wow. Thank you, Carl. What's that like for you? Can you give us a little more grounding on what your feeling is in that?
There's a little bit of, when just because of the kind of heat of the conversation, that whenever, even when it is like responding to something I've said and somebody will bring up my own name, it's like catching strays to a degree, and wondering like, is something being said with my name added in the sentence as a way to kind of soften the blow and be like, yeah, nobody's got a problem here, but that you see that when this happens. But then in my mind, it's also like, well, maybe it's the opposite, and they're taking it as an opportunity to say like, yeah, Carl does this too, and it's friggin' annoying. Just kind of to generally comment on one of the kinds of statements that may be made. Like, none of that's like real specific, because I will say that the participants in the conversations are, quite verbose. They've had plenty to say, and there's been plenty to read.
Okay. Yeah. Would someone like to try reflecting Carl back?
I could try to give it a try. So, from what I understand, I'm not as familiar with leading communities or being a part of a group of people leading a really big community. So, but it sounds like there's this predicament where people are arguing, but you kind of agree and respect each side equally, and there's a conflict of how to approach this situation, as it's very delicate and you don't want to upset any kind of balance, or there's not really a way to like pick sides either.
And I'll interject real quick just to say that if this was like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half maybe, you'd be spot on, but it has mostly come to a resolve. Like, we've People have kind of given their closing statements, and the actual discussion should be pretty much handled from here, at least on this specific instance of disagreement.
That's good to hear.
Brought up the thing, so there's not much like uncertainty now. It's more about reflection.
Yeah, so you're going through a situation where an event had just occurred that was really tricky, and both sides have mellowed out, have reflected to each other. It sounds like things are back to normal. I don't know if it sounds like they're completely resolved, but there has been like a ceasefire. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and it's so far, there's this feeling of like, are they involving you in these arguments by saying Carl did this, or he's just like this, or he's better than this, or there's a difficulty in how to engage when you're kind of pulled into it without really like expecting it or wanting that to occur. So I can see that there is a bit of a frustration and a feeling of uncomfortableness to how to kind of deal with the emotions that can arise when these arguments happen and people pull each other back and forth with referencing to each other. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I'd say, you there's definitely, just from my own ambiguity in the description, I can tell at the end there's a little bit of a struggle to kind of nail it down. But yeah, overall that, and like I said, it's the kind of, looking at lessons learned and maybe what coulda, shoulda at it is where I'm at now, and kind of being a little more maybe not so much like regretful, but what potentially, if other things had been understood earlier or anything like that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just that kind of uncomfortability is definitely a word you used once or twice. It's just when it's I'd say I when there's not really any investment, when you're dealing with a ticket, most of the time people have issues, and I don't know party A or B. When you know everyone involved and have for years at this point, it's a lot trickier to navigate stuff like that. So that uncomfortability there's definitely felt that resonated. So.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. Who's next? Looks like Skeepist is back. And Vibe, have you been to our events before? I don't remember.
No, I joined this group a long while ago, and this is the first time I'm here because it's like 4 a.m. for me. That's not usually the time I'm online. But yeah, it's interesting to listen to.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear. You're welcome to also share a pain point if you would like. And, we will reflect it back, whatever it is, which might be just that it's hard to find cool events at 4 a.m. and come to them. Yeah, glad to hear.
I'm not a community leader or anything, and I don't really have pain points. I mean, I'm in a small German group right now, and we just bought a world that we are like hanging pictures on and customizing, just building a little community. And yeah, I'm kind of not in trouble with anyone, and it's going smoothly. So I don't really know what to tell about that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You can still get that reflected back. Would anybody like to reflect Vibe's non-pain point back?
I already went.
You did.
Offering other people
the
opportunity.
It's a pleasure to reflect on that because it kind of sounds like that honeymoon period of when you first get everyone together and the energy's all fresh and he got a world to hang new pictures up on, and it's just that that very beginning phase of like everyone getting together and that new group energy. So yeah, I'm really happy to hear that and glad it sounds like it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that caught what your reflection was?
Oh yeah, I mean the people, we know each other for a long time now. It's not like a new group that just founded. We've been friends and just opened the Discord to change photos, share photos and stuff for maybe over 6 months now, maybe 7 or 8 months. So, but yeah, with this new world that we just bought today, actually, and start to customize.
Congratulations.
It is, yeah, it is a new period, I guess a new phase, like getting maybe some more people in. But for now, we are around 10 people. It's a very small community. It's been going smoothly so far.
Lovely. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for that extra clarification. And sounds like a new phase or new era for the group. Really cool.
Also, side note, I just have to acknowledge the absurdity that there are birds running around at the bottom of the pond. And
I've been watching this for a while now.
One of them just ran into Escapist's body, and Escapist's body jumped like it had been startled. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they bumped into me earlier too.
Yeah,
I don't know how
but
they're programmed,
I don't
but
think
they have
Scapist
collision.
even knew that it had run it. I think the avatar must have some kind of collision because it was like, whoa. I was like, you don't even know that happened. Yeah. Okay. Who else? Pain points. And actually, I'm going to do something kind of weird here. And I apologize ahead of time. I don't think I've ever done this, but I need to go for a few minutes. And I'm going to turn this over to Carl. I know. I'm actually going to have to stop the stream. I've gotten a request to join on something that looks kind of time sensitive and could be an emergency. I don't want to alarm anyone, but I feel like I need to follow this and just go check in and see if I can support after our event is over. So